Hey class, welcome to our video notes review of Map Essentials, Understanding and Using Maps. So we've taken notes on this, and this process is going to walk us through what we do with the video notes, how we look at those, and the value that they're going to have to you. So what is a map? A map is a flat diagram of or part of the Earth's surface. Map makers have created different ways of showing our round planet on flat maps. Right, so here we have an example. We're squishing the globe down, and remember, anytime we're taking a three-dimensional object and making it two-dimensional, we're going to have some distortion with that. These different ways are called projections. Because the Earth is round, there's no way to accurately show the entire thing on a flat surface. So we have our three projections. We talked about those, the flat plane, the cylindrical, and the conic. So a flat plane projections are based on a plane touching the globe at one point, such as the North or South Pole. So in this example, it's touching the North Pole, and then we get a top-down view of what it is we're looking at. It's useful for showing direction for airplane pilots and ship navigators. Especially as a ship navigator, you don't want this happening if you're reading the map wrong. One of the negatives of a flat plane, it distorts the true shape of a landmass. Cylindrical projections are based on a cylinder being wrapped around the globe. The cylinder touches the globe only at the equator, and the meridians are pulled apart and are parallel to each other instead of meeting at the pole. So, and we'll talk more about this with latitude and longitude, but they intersect at the poles, all of the meridians. This causes the landmasses at the poles to appear larger than they are. So with this example, we have Antarctica, and it is massive, right, in this projection. And then conic projections are based on a cone being placed over the globe. We talked about this in class too. This projection is most accurate along the lines of latitude where it touches, and then it retains true shape and size and is most useful for showing areas that have long east-west dimensions, such as the United States or the continent of North America. So east, west. Some different map projections. This isn't anything we're going to have to know for a quiz or anything, but it's just good to understand that four of the most common projections are the Winkle triple, goods interrupted, the Robinson projection, and the Mercator projection. So the goods interrupted, it looks like they kind of cut around the edges, which shows true size and shape of the land masses, but distances are generally distorted, as you can see here. And this would be tough to look at too. You get a gap here, so we're not going to be able to measure that distance very well. The Robinson projection, sizes and shapes near western and eastern edges of the map are accurate, along with the outlines of the continents. So we're going to get accurate here, and then the size and shapes of the continents are good. The pole areas are flattened though, so we don't get Antarctica gets flattened, and then Greenland kind of gets squished up to the top. The Mercator, size and distance increasingly distorted as it moves away from the equator. So we have our equator line, and then the further north you go, or the further south, we're going to get that distortion with the size and the shape. One of the positives, though, the Mercator actually accurately shows true direction and landmass shapes. So we have the four. Didn't talk about this one, but that's all right. Map essentials, parts of a map. So there's five important parts to the map that we're going to focus on. The title. So what are we looking at? We're looking at dioxin levels, the compass rose. Not seeing what it is, but that would give us north. Um, Scale, right? We have our scale here, so it is a scale bar, which we talked about again in class. So for each, that line represents 5 miles. The legend was up here, so the flow of dioxins and the Superfund cleanup sites, and then the locator map. And this can also be called an inset map. So it's inset into the larger map. So the title, the map's title shows what the subject of the map is. So as we're looking here, this is a map of Europe, North America, and Southwest Asia. This should be the first thing you look at when you're studying a map, as it tells you what you're going to be studying. And then we have our compass rose, directional indicator, and it shows which way north, east, south, and west are on the map. Remember, north is not always at the top. And then it's going to have the 4 arrows that point to the 4 principal or main directions. Scale. Scales are used to represent the distances between points on a map. So when we're looking at this map, we see our scale here, and then I blew it up there for you. So this is not a U.S. map because they're measuring in kilometers, but we're looking, it's a map of the provinces of Canada. And then scale also means how much detail is being used in the map. A geographer decides what scale to use by determining how much detail that they want to show, or the cartographer, if many details are needed, a large scale map is used. If fewer details are needed, you use a small scale. So the best way to remember that, lots of detail, large scale, and then small scale without much detail. So it's almost as if, think of it as you're zooming in on the map. So here we have Washington, D.C. metro area, and then the city of Washington, D.C. itself, and we can see more detail with the streets and where some of the monuments are located at. Legend. The legend or key explains what the symbols on the map represent. So we don't want to confuse that with one of the greatest players in the NFL of all time. He is also a legend, but not what we're talking about with maps. Colors, points, shapes, specific objects may be used in the legend. So here we have some different highway systems, the interstate, the federal highway, the state route. The lines are going to be the same, but the colors are going to change as it's representing different roadways. And then a common one too is mountain peaks. A lot of times the scale will be located close to or nearby the legend. And then we have a locator map. Locator map shows where in the world the area on the map is located. So again, think about like you get the zoomed out. And then we're going to zoom in to what we actually want to be looking at. The area on the map and shown in red is the locator map. So we have the arrow. This is our locator map. What are the 5 parts of the map then to review? We have title, scale, compass rose, legend, or key is another word for that, and then locator. Inset is also a term that you can use there. Locator and inset map. So there's the 3 different kinds of maps. We took notes on those. As we study different regions and countries, we'll use a variety of maps. 2 of the most common types of maps we use are political and physical maps. And then we also have special purpose maps, which can include things like climate, economics, topography, what kind of trees are there. It could be a map of the rivers in the area. All kinds of different things can go into that special purpose map. So political maps, they show the major political features of the region. These features can include country borders, capital cities, and other cities. We use various colors to represent countries, and capitals are usually represented with a star symbol within the circle. So here we have a world map. We have, the different colors. It helps us recognize the national boundaries of each of the countries. This one is a map of Africa. We get the colors again for the countries, and then we also have some other information in there, but international boundaries, roads, rivers, national capitals, and then cities or towns. And that is all located in the key, right? The key. Physical maps show the main physical features of a region. Anything from mountain ranges to rivers, oceans, islands, deserts, lakes, anything can be included in there, as long as it's a physical feature, a landform or a water form. Often these maps are going to use different colors to represent different elevations of land. So here we look at our title, we have a map of India, we have our compass rose built in there, north is up, and then we have to find the key that does designate it with the title to help us decipher the information that the map is giving us. So the higher the elevation, the darker the color is going to get there, and then as we get closer to sea level, we have this green color. Here we have our scale bar, so we can measure distances if we needed to do that based on the information that's in the map. Here's another map. Title, locator map, legend, scale bar, and then our compass rose. And then our special purpose maps focus on one special topic. Sometimes they can mix in some other information, but usually the focus is going to be one topic for the map. Anything from climate to resources, things like economic activities, what do they farm there, mining, all the way to things like population or population density, which cities are bigger, are going to be shown in a special purpose map. They present information on a topic that's often important to that region, and then depending on the purpose of the map, the information may be shown with various types of symbols. So we'll look at a couple examples here. There's not a title here, so unless we know what it is we're looking at, the information isn't going to mean a whole lot to us, but we are looking at a climate map of Australia. We have our key or legend down here to help us to decipher what the different colors mean. And then another example, we're looking at oil and gas in North Dakota, and then it tells us what the dots mean. So the white ones would be abandoned, the red ones would be active wells. We do have some other information on the map, but we have to look at what's in the title, oil and gas, right? So this would be an example of a special purpose map. And then just for fun, one of the first selfies, if we look at the date, 1920. I don't know if it counts as a selfie because somebody's taking a picture of someone taking a picture, so you guys will have to decide that. But look forward to seeing everybody in class.